Well, viewers, merely days after the BBMP served notices on commercial establishments to display signages in Kannada predominantly, this is of course 60% Kannada, and this is a rule that of course has been there in Karnataka for quite some time. Now, several pro-Kannada groups today staged protests, and they were violent. And this was against establishments that did not have Kannada signboards and nameplates. Take a look at this ground report first.
Amid the protests over here, you can see an ambulance, in fact, that's struggling to progress ahead. Remember that the Karnataka Rakshana Vedike today, in fact, has called on protests in Bengaluru city demanding Kannada signages. Well, even at this point in time, as there are several police personnel deployed here, you can see that the ambulance, in fact, unfortunately, of course, struggling to progress ahead. Remember that this protest comes even as the Karnataka government has set a deadline of the month of February for all of these establishments to put up Kannada signages. But despite that, we are seeing violent protests today. A hotel has been vandalized. A signboard, in fact, one of the bigger billboards over here on the main airport road has in fact been ripped down. In fact, we're seeing massive traffic jams being reported and people being inconvenienced at the end of the day owing to this massive protest here. Well, of course, it remains to be seen as to when things are restored to normalcy over here.
ನಾನು ಮಾಡಿದ ಆದೇಶ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ ಸರ್ಕಾರ ಮಾಡಿದ ಆದೇಶ, ಬೆಂಗಳೂರು ಮಹಾನಗರ ಪಾಲಿಕೆ ಮಾಡಿದ ಆದೇಶ. ಆ ಆದೇಶವನ್ನ ನೀವು ಪಾಲಿಸಬೇಕು. ನೀವು ಪಾಲಿಸಿರೆ ಮಾತ್ರ ನಾವು ನಿಮ್ಮನ್ನ ವ್ಯಾಪಾರ ಮಾಡಕ್ಕೆ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಬಿಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಅದಕ್ಕಾಗಿ ಪೊಲೀಸ್ ಇಲಾಖೆಯನ್ನು ಪ್ರಾರ್ಥನೆ ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ, ನೀವು ನಮ್ಮನ್ನು ಹತ್ತಿಕ್ಕೋ ಪ್ರಯತ್ನಕ್ಕೆ ಹೋಗಬೇಡಿ. ಹೋದ್ರೆ ದಾರಿ ಉದ್ದಕ್ಕೂ ದೊಡ್ಡ ದಂಧೆ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, ಗಲಾಟೆ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ.
Now, the protesters, of course, have been demanding immediate implementation of an order that will require businesses, of course, to feature 60% of their signs in Kannada. And that's what they are demanding right now. We just heard Gowda from the Karnataka Rakshana Vedike there. Now, these violent protests brought the city life to a standstill in various parts. This even as Bengaluru's civic body did earlier give a deadline of 28th February to shop owners to install Kannada signboards. This is up to 60% where the language should be used. The BBMP commissioner even warned violators of strict action if they did not comply. But however, on the streets, the situation was only getting worse.
At their outlets, the Karnataka Rakshana Vedike and other pro-Kannada outfits in the state of Karnataka are staging a massive procession today. Remember that the government has already set a deadline of February for all commercial establishments to, in fact, set up Kannada signages at their commercial establishments or face legal action. In fact, you can see the kind of ruckus that the workers of the KRV and other outfits here have created. They've gone on to disrupt the entire normalcy at this hotel that we're seeing right now, wherein, in fact, people, of course, at this point in time were staying inside this very hotel. We are, of course, going to further tell you that at this very hotel, there are no Kannada signages at this point in time. We're going to try speaking with someone who's been residing at this hotel. Ma'am, what happened really? It seems like there was absolute chaos here.
I was just taking my breakfast on the balcony. And I saw that the mob is coming by, but is there any protest or something? And all of a sudden, I could see that they have started throwing stones on the guard. Here, they started attacking this board, hair boards, these things. And I said, that are they going to attack our hotel? They may do anything. We have to leave. We have to protect ourselves. Otherwise, we don't know. They can do anything. Because it is a mob.
Most unfortunate that even as you have these protesters here today being confronted, even as I've asked the protesters myself why they're taking the law into their own hands, they said that it is their right and they will. In fact, just to give you perspective, look at this massive traffic jam that's piled up right behind us. This is the kind of inconvenience that people are being put through today, despite, of course, the traffic police being on ground, despite them putting in their best efforts. This is a spillover onto the sub-arterial roads that you can see here. Having said that, of course, like you rightly mentioned, whether, this is something that the Karnataka government is going to act upon very seriously, because this is not the first time we've seen these very same protesters, the same Kannada outfits, taking law into their own hands in the past as well, creating absolute havoc and ruckus on the roads, inconveniencing people. Well, of course, like you rightly mentioned earlier, the demand for wanting Kannada signages is something which the government has already mandated. But for them to be taking law into their own hands like this is a question, for them to be turning violent.
Well, viewers, let's open this up. We have a panel of guests joining us. Let's try and decipher what has been happening, whether this is right. Ashok K.M. Gowda from the BJP is with us. Satya Prakash from the Congress Party, Brinda Adige activist, is also with us. Sajit Gowda from the Karnataka Rakshana Vedike is the media coordinator. And for all of viewers who have tuned in, hashtag the language war. You can tweet using that hashtag. You can tag Mirror Now. We are putting all your views on the channel through this next 45 minutes while we, of course, discuss this issue. Let me take this across first to Mr. Sajit Gowda. Mr. Sajit Gowda, do you agree with what we are seeing on our screens? Is this the sort of protest that your activists asked for in the morning when the permission was granted? Is this something that was mentioned to the police, that you're going to be bringing down name boards, you're going to be vandalizing property, breaking glass? Was permission granted for this?
So, thank you, first of all, for having me here. As simple as this, today's protests have largely been against the illegal board signs in Bangalore.
Firstly, it's not as simple, Mr. Sajit. Please answer my question directly. If permission was given, I know what the issue is. We all know what the issue is. We'll come to that, and I'll give you ample opportunity to explain the issue on this show. But firstly, was permission given for violence? Is this how the KRV wants to protest on the streets?
Let's not just make this up as violence. There isn't anyone who is beaten up or any of the human casualties or collaterals. As such, boards have been taken down. True.
So did we have to wait till somebody got injured here while stones were being pelted, while rods were being used to bring down glass?
There may be siloed incidents which probably would have happened in certain places, but largely this has been against this protest has been against the illegal signboards that have been displayed in Bangalore from a very long time. We have given a lot of time for people to comply with this. We have requested, we have written letters, we have personally went there and requested for them to make the changes. None of that worked. And more than anything else, media wouldn't have been calling us today and doing this discussion if there was no protest which required this attention. That's the whole point, right? I mean, media never wants never wants to bring up the issues which can be sought in a peaceful way. I mean, this has been not just.
Well, this is bizarre, Mr. Sajit. You are saying that this is the reason now that to draw the attention of the people, the media, that you will go to any extent. You are saying it's a one-off incident. I'm going to request my director Rishabh there to put out on full screen various pictures, not from one location. Let's put out those pictures where each and every establishment that the activists went to, they brought down the boards, they beat the glass there, they brought down pots. The people who were living in some hotels were scared. You just heard that woman. She says it was a mob. She didn't know what was going to happen if the people were going to barge in. Is this the fear psychosis that you want to work with so that you want to prove a point? Nobody is shying away from the fact that, well, it is a valid thing that you're fighting for. But vandalism on the streets is not something that's required, is it? Ambulances were stuck, Mr. Gowda. What did the poor patient in the ambulance do? Isn't that a fellow Kannadiga?
That is not purposeful, and there can be minor unfortunate things which would have happened. We completely apologize for all the inconveniences that has happened to all the citizens across Bangalore city, and not just Bangalore city, across Karnataka. These protests have happened today. So majorly, the point is, we have tried doing this in a good way, in a peaceful way, but then nobody wants to adhere to that. Right? I mean, you can't keep Kannadiga or rights of Kannadigas pushed down and impose or kind of give prominence to something which is not acceptable. That's the whole point.
Why doesn't the Karnataka Rakshana Vedike take over the government? Take over. Why
So
do we need Mr. Satya Prakash? It doesn't look like, there is a need of the government here because Mr. Sajid Gowda says, well, people are not listening if we are saying it in a nice manner, so we'll resort to vandalism. Mr. Satya Prakash, is it time for the Congress to give in the reins to the Karnataka Rakshana Vedike? I think they'll govern.
Deepak, first of all, let me start off with Sri Kannadam Gelge, Sri Kannadam Balge. Victory for Kannada. There's no doubt in that. In Karnataka, Kannadane Sarvabhauma means Kannada is supreme in Karnataka. There's no doubt. We need to understand, while Congress doesn't subscribe to what vandalism KRV has done, we need to understand that there are certain rules within the corporation and municipal limits that whenever any shop and or any establishment takes a trade license under the Shop and Establishment Act, that the name board or the main board that is in front of the establishment has to have 60% Kannada and 40% they can use any other language. This is in defiance of that law. This is in defiance of the undertaking that each and every business establishment gives while taking a trade license from BBMP. There is no doubt that most of these guys and all the malls...
Well, this is a very old law, and I completely agree with Mr. Sajid Gowda. I agree with you that there are establishments which need to follow the law of the land. There is a protocol that has been put forth that when you have an establishment in Bengaluru, a huge portion of your name board, or rather 60% to be precise, needs to be in the local language, that is Kannada. I am not debating that, neither am I saying it's wrong. All that I am saying is when all of this is happening, Mr. Satya Prakash, the High Court directions are very clear where to protest in and around Bengaluru. Protests are only allowed in Freedom Park. When you have residents who are protesting for civic apathy on the streets, you book them. FIRs are registered. When there is vandalism that's going on, what is happening to the police department? What is happening to the government then?
Keep the protests aside for a minute. Let us look at the illegal activities that these shops and establishments have undergone. They have given an undertaking. Why can't they follow law? Aren't they law-abiding citizens? Is ignorance a bliss? Why can't they?
So what is your BBMP doing? Today probably the Karnataka Rakshana Vedike is saying that they are protesting because there is a lacuna on top of on part of the BBMP which is supposed to be ensuring that there is a rule of law here. There is of course law that has been set forth. They've set a deadline. So what is the civic body doing? What is the police department doing? They should be the ones imposing fines. They should be the ones taking action. Are you going to allow people to take action? Is this a kangaroo court that we're dealing with?
BBMP also will do its job. The Chief Minister has advised the BBMP that it has to, unceremoniously remove all the boards. CM has gone a step further to say that he will bring a law necessary which covers entire Karnataka. That the language of the land should be given preference. Today, what are we asking? We are asking Karnataka, which is India, which is union of states, and Karnataka being one of the states within India, has to protect its culture, has to protect its language. You go around Bangalore, Kannada is not visible.
Well, Mr. Satya Prakash, I am a Kannadiga myself. I take great pride in being a Kannadiga. The argument here is not about the signboard. The argument is not about the intention of the KRB to advocate this idea that Kannada should be used in signages, which people should speak, and I am for it. What I am against here is the violence, the vandalism, the disruption on the streets. It is a busy airport stretch. God knows how many people missed their flights because there was massive traffic pileups. People reported at least being stuck for an hour and a half while these protests took place. I know the police department in the last couple of weeks, Mr. Satya Prakash, answer this. People protested demanding for better roads. Police were very quick to go there, catch hold of those residents, pull their placards and say, well, you can't protest, you have to go to Freedom Park. You have not got permission. How was this allowed by the police?
Even today also
nobody said their right to protest should be taken away. Or nobody questioned their intention or the reason for protest. The type of protest is being questioned.
Even today also, Bapana, police has done its job. It has gone there. It has asked all the protesters into the bus. They have been apprehended. A lot of police stations have booked cases. Police is doing its job. But at the same time, the government has a duty towards protecting its language also. The government has a duty to protect the Kannada language, the language of the people of Karnataka, It has a duty towards protecting its culture, isn't it? I do agree. I request the KRV.
Okay, let's hear from Mr. Ashok. He's also been patiently waiting. Brinda Adige as well is with us. We'll take opinions from them. I'll first come to Mr. Ashok Gowda. Ashok Gowda, what's your take on all of this? Do you think that the state government has handled this matter well?
See, Balaji, let's understand. I understand the sentiments, whatever has been said by Karnataka Rakshana Vedike. The mother tongue is a sentiment. Definitely, we need to abide by that. But that does not allow them to take law into their hands. And that does not allow Congress to allow this gunda culture which can be practiced on the streets of Karnataka. And let's analyze this. Why is this happening on this day? And when the deadline was set for January 31st to follow the rule which is set by the BBMP in 2018, January 31st was a date. Why are they doing it today? Yesterday, 2 days before, you saw Minister of Sugar in Karnataka saying on the farmers of Karnataka that they commit suicide for 5 lakh rupees and they wait for the drought in spite of government just giving them as a bhiksha. Bhiksha means like, just a small aid. So just to divert this bigger issue, larger issue, which could have made sure that Shivanand Patil will be resigning, the Congress government that is led by Siddaramaiah and D.K. Shivakumar has given probably an hands-on support to these Kannada protesters who could have waited for January 31st. I am not saying that your protest is illegal or anything. You can always protest, but you could have waited till January 31st and follow the rules and go protest in front of a freedom park. And if then the government does not do anything, then you could have taken whatever actions were taken today. But why did you not? Why are you today protesting? And when the Shivanand Patil issue was burning in the entire country, national media was taking up this issue and insulting a farmer. Why did pro-Kannada activists, including Narayan Gowda or Ashwini Gowda or Sajit Gowda or anybody, could have spoken about Shivanand Patil's statement which is made against my farmer, who is also a Kannadiga? He belongs to me. He's like a god to me, who is giving a selfless service to the mankind of Karnataka as well to the entire world and entire world. Why are they not speaking about this? And whenever there's a Congress government, they just listen to the CM, who is Siddaramaiah or whatever, whoever they were. And believe me or not, this Narayan KRV's Karnataka Rakshana Vedike's Narayan Gowda or any other leader should definitely answer to themselves that what is the timing of this. I'm not saying this is not required. I'm also saying, as being a Kannadiga, the rules and the mother tongue should be protected.
Two things.
And the culture of Karnataka should be protected.
Protest is required. They have the right to protest. I agree with you. But this type of protest, not required.
Definitely.
Secondly, the timing, once again, yes, when the BBMP itself has set the deadline, they could have waited for that. They could have waited for that, questioned the BBMP, gone to the BBMP office, even protested there, because they are the ones that should be enforcing the law. The police are the ones that should be enforcing the law. The Karnataka Rakshana Vedike shouldn't be enforcing any law in Karnataka.
Deepak, allow me an intervention.
They can draw awareness. I'll bring in and reminding our viewers, we want to hear your point of view. On our Twitter handle on Mirror Now, you can tweet directly to us. You can also use the hashtag The Language War. We'll be putting out your tweets. I'll quickly take in a reaction from Brinda Adige and come to you, Sajid. Brinda.
Sure.
Yeah. First and foremost, love of language, pride of the language is our birthright of every Kannadiga. But it is not our ethos to resort to any kind of violence, vandalism or hooliganism. And it is not the job of any group or any citizen to take law into their own hands. If BBMP has given a deadline to businesses, then it is the job of BBMP to ensure and monitor that that rule is followed by the businesses. And if they don't follow it, the law of the land has to take action. How could a group of people who call themselves Kannada Rakshane Vedike take it upon themselves to talk about, use words like illegal signboards? Who are you? to do anything about illegal signboards, when you are not able to do anything about human rights violations, that you do not do anything about children who are on the streets and have not gone to school or are child laborers. You do nothing about all of that. They are also Kannadigas. You do not say anything when the police pulled up citizens for standing and demanding for good roads, like Deepak pointed out. They were snatching away paper information that they were holding in their hands. How is it that you are so selective about the pride of Kannadigas only as signboards on business places? Pride of Kannadigas should be everything. That said, putting citizens to trouble because the roads were blocked, people were put into trouble. How can this love and pride of Kannada percolate to everybody? How can you take law into your own hands? And how dare the city police, the state police had no information about such kind of groups walking the streets and not taking action? So we will have to mention over here that they were probably in connivance, and that is unacceptable. How many people have they arrested? How many FIRs have been registered? Because the police was very prompt to register FIRs on citizens who are standing demanding that trees must not be cut or roads must be put over there. So what is the police doing? We want to ask, why is it such impunity is being allowed by the state and its mechanisms to groups like Karnataka Rakshane Vedike, but human rights and social justice activists are treated with such disdain?
Okay. Sajid, I think many of our speakers have had various things to say. I want to add another question to what we've been discussing. One very important aspect, of course, that Mr. Ashok Gowda pointed out is that you have a deadline that has been set by the BBMP commissioner. Why didn't you wait for that deadline even for a protest? And even if this was an awareness protest, it went much beyond that. More importantly, you've been carrying out awareness drives. Just a few days ago, there was a video, of course, from Karnataka that went viral where we had, a vehicle passing through Chickpet and Avenue Road where directly some communities are being named, targeted and even threatened. Well, creating awareness can be done in various ways, can't it, Sajid?
Thanks, Balaji. So I'll first, clarify one thing. So this is not about language, pride, love, or anything. This is simply about the rights. A Kannadiga deserves every service, not just the signboard, Kannada signboard, but every single service in Karnataka to be given in Kannada. That's it. Right? I mean, this is a fundamental right. So before talking about any other fundamental rights, human rights and everything else, serving in one's language is in one's motherland is basically a fundamental right. Every citizen has this right to ask this, and we are asking it in a way that that requires to be asked today. So I'll give you a couple of examples before, and also I'll also want others who wants us to speak on Shivanand Patel, on human rights, everyone, go speak for yourself. We will pick the topics that we want to pick. You don't need to tell us. We are not answerable for, we are not in electoral politics. We don't go to people and ask. We want certain things to be done in certain way, and we have done it. That's it. Okay. So don't ask us on what we need to protest. We will decide on what we need to protest. So second, I'll also want to tell you this very clearly, Balaji. So this is in railways protests. For many years, we gave letters, request letters, went to ministers, pleaded, that did everything. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Hello?
yes, we can hear you. Go ahead. Please go ahead. Please go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Very, very clearly. Go ahead.
No, I can't hear you.
Deepak, can I intervene if there is some problem?
I think
there?
so.
We can hear you.
Yeah,
we
now
can
I
hear
can
you.
hear.
If you can't hear me, we'll just fix that
Yeah.
audio and come. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I can hear. So for giving option to write in Kannada language, the railway exams. So nobody bothered to even acknowledge this. Then Karnataka Rakshana Vedike went to this exam centers, disrupted everything. shut down the exam centers, sent back the Biharis and everyone whom Lalu Prasad Yadav sent it in his train to write exams. Did a lot of things pretty much close to how it happened today. And the next thing was central government gave option to write in all the scheduled languages of India, including Kannada. And after that, around 5,000-6,000 people have written exams in Kannada and got selected. You know, if there is a civilized way of doing things, and if things work in a civilized way, we can do it. And the same thing with Namma Metro Hindi signages also. We gave so many letters. We went to RTI route. We used every mechanism possible to do it in a peaceful way. Nobody bothered. We attacked the signboards and brought it down, and then we had the result. So, you know, this signboard things also, this is not started today. We started this month ago. It wasn't organic. We went to the streets, told them, requested them, and so many things have happened within this last 3-4 weeks.
Is it I just want a yes or no to a couple of questions. Is Sajid able to hear me? Sajid, are you able to hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, I have a couple of questions. I just want a yes or a no. Has this campaign been going on with announcements being made for the last couple of weeks? Yes or no?
Yes.
Did you all meet the BBMP commissioner, a few more representatives just a few days ago? Okay, more than 2 weeks. All that I wanted to say is the campaign has been going on. Now,
yes.
you did meet the BBMP commissioner a few days ago, submit a memorandum. The BBMP commissioner had assured that the BBMP will mandate this, take action against those people who don't do it. They set a deadline. Your leaders were there with the BBMP commissioner. This was just a few days ago. Yes or no?
True.
When you say you wanted to carry out these protests in a civilized manner, you went in a civilized fashion. All of this was civilized. The issue is validated. But then why did the protest turn violent today? Why did they resort to vandalism?
So this
was
is the
that
thing.
civilized? Was that needed? When the deadline was set by the BBMP commissioner, what value are you giving that particular meeting that you had with the BBMP commissioner then? Do you feel that the Congress government or the BBMP is not going to do this? Do you feel that they're not going to stick to the deadline? What is the issue?
The thing is,
I'm Deepak here, by the way.
We didn't do any violence. That's the first point. There is no violence as such. The illegal signboards have been taken down in some places. There might be traffic issues and minor inconveniences for the citizens.
We have pictures on our screens, Mr. Sajid. You can see a person hold a stick and beat up the entry glass of an establishment. That's not removing a signboard. We can see massive pots being brought down in front of a hotel. That is not a signboard. Blackening a signboard, we've seen these sort of protests. We've seen that happen even during the Namma Metro issue. I covered that aspect. But this is taking to a next level.
True.
This is a crowd running amok.
See, this is a very big protest. This is a massive protest. Thousands of people have come in here. There might be some places
so
where
you lost control of some of your cadre.
Protests. Sorry.
So you lost control over some of the people who are there for protest because it was a large one.
Sorry, what?
Sajid, I'm asking you, did you lose control of some of the protesters about the intention of the protest?
See, the leaders went from Hebal to Kaban Park Road, and then there were a few places where our people have gone little overboard, probably in some places, which in the kind of scale that we had, the protest scale today was too big. So every individual can't be controlled, but largely the point was to ensure we have enough cover to this issue so that people understand that this basic sentiment has to be respected, and not just sentiment.
Okay.
Like I mentioned, this is a right. Giving Kannadigas have made their law.
Okay, very quickly, I have little time now. Mr. Sajid, I want to ask you here once again. Let me make it very clear to you that I'm not against the issue that you're raising. What I'm against is the way that you raised it today. For the viewers who are watching, I want the viewers who struggled in traffic jams, for some of them who suffered losses, would you apologize to them?
Absolutely. We have
For
our
people who
leaders
are
also
stranded
have
in an
apologized.
ambulance, would you apologize to them?
Absolutely, yes. We have no hesitation in apologizing for all of them for whom there was inconvenience. We are also part of the same city. The inconvenience applies to us, our family, our friends, and everyone. But the larger issue is in place. We want to drive this point
Okay.
to
the larger issue,
government,
you have
the
pointed it out
government.
multiple times. I want the government representative to answer, Mr. Satya Prakash. The KRP time and again says that this issue has been raised multiple times, but government after government have failed to implement it to the hilt. And establishments continue to violate the rule that they should have 60% signboards in the local language of Kannada. What is taking the Congress government now so much time to implement it is the question they're asking.
See, there is nothing to be implemented. First of all, before you apply for a trade license, all the shopkeepers should understand. All the business establishments should understand. Ignorance is not a bliss. When you go and apply,
But
there is
clearly
a set
there
of
is a
rules that,
violation, and that's the
BBMP
reason we
gives.
saw these protests, Mr. Satya Prakash. We all know that there is a trade license that's given, the government mandates all this is a rule book. But it's not
Then
being
why are-
followed.
why-
and it's up
why-
to the government agencies like the BBMP,
No,
the
no,
police,
no.
and everyone to come together and
Deepak,
do what is necessary.
Deepak,
Instead of
why are
having
you not-
activists come out on streets and vandalize, the government should be
Deepak-
doing this job of actually ensuring that a rule is followed.
Deepak, allow me, okay? Why are you not questioning these guys? Why are you not questioning these business establishments? Are they
Exactly.
uneducated? Or they don't want to follow the rules of the land? Or
Right.
do they feel that it is okay, we are elite class, we can do whatever we
100%
want?
they have to
Are
follow
they
the rule,
speaking
but
the Kannada
when they
language,
don't
the
follow,
language
it
of
is
this
up to the
land?
government to penalize them. It is up to the government to take action. I am asking you, what are you going to do against those? I can't go to
Yes.
the establishment and tell them to do something. That's not my job. It is the
No,
job
we
of the
will.
lawmakers and the executive, that is of course the police, to go ahead and ensure that the law is followed.
Our government, the Congress
You want me to
government
go on a
led by
vandalism
CM
spree now, Mr. Satya
Siddaramaiah ji.
Prakash?
One second. Are you able to listen to me? Am I audible? Hello? Am I audible?
You're very clear. Go ahead. I can hear you
Yeah,
very clearly.
thank
Go
you.
ahead.
Our government, led by Siddaramaiah ji, will go to any extent to protect the language of this land. Will go to any extent to protect Kannada, the language of Karnataka. But what we are requesting is, when you yourself have given an undertaking that you are going to use 60%, why have you violated the law of Karnataka? Why have you violated the law of the land? We will go all out to bring all those boards down. We will not only put
So what are
fines
you
on
going
them,
to do as
we
the
will
government
shut
is a
them.
question. If they have
What is
violated
he
the law of the
talking?
land,
What
the
is he
government
talking?
should be acting. But instead the government here, instead of the government taking action, Mr. Satya Prakash, you are saying we'll do anything, we'll go to any extent. So what extent are you talking about? Allowing people to run amok on the streets?
If you are not going to follow the land of the law of the land,
Is there any
and
law
you
and
are going to
order?
run the
Is the
businesses
government
the
even
way you
functioning? If
want?
this is the kind of statement that as a spokesperson you're giving me.
Procedures to follow. You cannot.
Not in opposition.
One second. When you
Please
don't want
resign.
to follow the rule of the land, what can we do?
No, the question that
You need
I
to shut
pose to
your
you as a
mouth.
government, what are you going to do? And you're saying we'll go to any extent.
What is he talking?
In any extent.
Why do you have the
means that
BBMP?
have
Why
to
do you have a
follow the-
statement coming in from the commissioner? Okay, quickly, Mr. Ashok. Mr. Ashok, come in very quickly. We have very little time. Please go ahead, Ashok.
See, let us understand the timing of the protest and the way the protest was planned and the way the protest was executed on this day when the Shivanand Patil was supposed to be resigning today. And instead of
That has
that,
nothing to
the
do,
government
yeah.
supports
Please talk
the
about
people
Kannada and
to
the-
vandalize the city and to make
Okay,
this as a
you made
big
this
issue.
point.
Instead
You
of
made this
just
point
making
earlier,
it
Mr.
a
Ashok. If you have any other point to make quickly, then I'll have Brinda, Minister, with the closing comments.
Forget about other issues. We will talk about those issues another day. But what
Mr.
about the language of this land?
Mr. Satya Prakash, my farmer, my God is dying, not you. My God is dying, not you.
You
Please
have
understand.
called
Ask your party to commit suicide.
Kannadic,
If you
you
want
have
to
called
do,
Kannada
you cannot
activists
insult
as
my farmer.
gundas.
You cannot
Shame
insult
on
my
you.
farmer. He is also
You are a
important.
Hindi,
He is the
you are a
important
Hindi
person.
party.
My,
How can you call Kannada activists as gundas?
my
Mr. Ashok?
language is important.
How can you
My
call
farmer
Kannada
is
activists as
important.
gundas?
You are minister.
Please
should
have
resign.
some respect for
Only
the
then-
language
only
of
then
this
that
land.
This protest will make sense.
I
Okay,
understand.
Brinda, quickly come
You
in.
are all against-
We do not want to really have this war of words between the two.
We
Okay, we have little
understand
time. We have little time, Mr. Ashok and Mr. Prakash. Let's not quarrel on the show. I'll have Brinda come in. Brinda, quickly, if you could make a point.
Could have been today in a way, it could have been warning every business establishment. But instead of that, take it as a protest, which can vandalize everything and take on all the issues and cover up Shivanand Patil's case. Cover up Shivanand Patil's case. This diversion politics will not work so much.
Don't belittle the language of this land.
Or more mature than
If I heard the Congress person speak,
Mr. Satya Prakash, you're failing to understand the crux of the issue here. You're really failing to understand the crux of the issue. You're going after the BJP, you're going after name calling. But the question here is, what is the government doing? If the government was doing its job, if the signages, of course, if you had at every level being checked, then the KRB wouldn't have to hit the streets today. We wouldn't even see this sort of an instance. So when you're talking about Kannada pride, where is your Kannada pride from the government? You should be ensuring that, you know, the law of the land is adhered to. Instead of saying that, well, it was okay to carry on vandalism on the streets.
We will ensure. Did I say vandalism on the street is okay? I objected to what the BJP spokesperson calling Kannada activists.
So are you going to do it? Are you going to allow people to indulge in vandalism was my question.
the Congress person, if I heard the Congress person,
Nobody here said Gunda, Mr. Satya Prakash. We are saying that there was vandalism today. Is that the way that the rule of the land will be followed? Which kangaroo court is this?
How dare you speak like this? That the state machinery will do nothing?
The police has done the job.
That a group of people who are protesting about something will get the right to go and do anything they want? Is the Congress person talking like that? Is it not your rule? Is it not the Congress
Mr.
rule
Satya
here in
Prakash,
Karnataka?
in fact, Mr. Sajid Gowda, he himself agreed that you know the protest shouldn't have turned into vandalism. He apologized to the people, but you, answering on behalf of the government here, seem to be advocating it.
No,
Why are you
I'm
promoting
saying-
impunity like this?
Okay.
Words. Sorry, but you are twisting his words. He never advocated for protest
What
or
are you
violence
saying?
or anything. He was only talking about implementation of government rules. But anyway, but the one
The
point that I want
government
to make
rules
is
have to be implemented by government
Okay,
functionaries.
okay, very quickly, Brinda, make a point. I just have about 30 seconds.
Government rules have to be implemented by government functionaries. The taxpayers, you and me, are paying for them to do that work. The person from Congress is saying that it is okay. If you don't adhere to the rules, then vandalism is what you have to accept and take it. Is that the way that man will speak so irresponsibly, promoting impunity of any group that will come and say you don't follow the rule of the law? Damn BBMP, damn the state machinery. We will take action in our own hands. It's appalling that he makes that statement. Tell him to apologize. The state machinery is here to take action against any violation of rules. It may be the BBMP and here it is the police. They have to take action. You cannot leave citizens to
Absolutely.
be at the mercy of people or the mob
Okay.
that decides to come and do whatever they want. I hope the police and the BBMP
Absolutely,
will take
Brinda, I
action
agree with
as
you.
per the
This
law.
issue, of course, is important. Like the KRB mentioned, the issue, of course, is a long-standing one. There are many people who have been flouting this rule. They have, of course, taken up multiple issues for the sake of Karnataka, for the sake of Kannadigas, and we appreciate that. What people, even Kannadigas themselves, will not appreciate is causing inconvenience to another Kannadiga. We've had Mr. Sajid Gowda has, of course, apologized to anybody who was inconvenienced. But for the government as well here, it's an important lesson to learn that if protests are allowed, it should be allowed peacefully in the manner that the law allows it. And if there are laws that are made, it is for the government, the BJP in the past as well, and the Congress currently to ensure that people follow it so that we don't have any other pseudo body which is coming out and trying to do the job of the government. With that, I'm slipping into a quick break. News and updates will continue. Stay with us.